welcome to Policy and Prejudice. My name is Chris Stevenson. We have a very special guest today, an author. She just wrote an interesting book, a powerful book. Her name is Marceline Jackson, and she used to be nasty. That's what the name of this book is called, Drizzling Superhole, a conversion book. Kind of like memoirs of an ex-prostitute, I guess. Is that the best way
yes.
to call it?
Yes.
But we don't often get books like this. You know, there's a literary explosion in the world today. Yeah, you get a lot of books about, you know, by hustlers and all that stuff, and a lot of kids buy these things up. You know, I know a guy who owns a bookstore in Rochester, a black bookstore. He says they don't really buy Malcolm X and all that no more. They want the new.
Yeah, they want game.
Yeah, that's it. They want game. You know, and you know, would you say that you consider this book game, or what? In your words?
Well, in my words, it does cater to the game.
Okay.
It does. I mean, without fail. I mean, if you just look at the footprints of the masters, and I use that term when I speak about Robert Beck, also known as Iceberg Slim, Donald Goins, Andrew Stonewall Jackson, just to name a few.
Yeah.
Those were the books that were available for my generation in the 70s.
Right.
And, of course, we also had Superfly. So everything was game and about making fast money and having what you want, extravagance and achievement. Unfortunately, it's not that same way today. They want the extravagance and the achievement, but they don't have the game. Right. You see, game is quiet. Game don't shoot. Game makes a lot of noise only when it's appropriate, you know, and so that's where that difference is. But I would say that it speaks to people because it's a life story. It's not just a story about the game, although the game consumed almost 30 years of my life.
Okay.
So
that's a long time?
Yeah, that's a lifetime.
What is it that you would say prevents this book from being an instructional on hoe or hustler or prostitution or the pimp life?
Well, the only thing I can do is ask and give a warning in the book and a reminder throughout the book that this is not a teaching tool. Right. However, neither were the books that I read. Right. They weren't designed for that.
I got you.
They was designed to educate and enlighten, but of course the element was always there. So that's where I learned. So, I mean, I didn't just pick up a book and say, okay, well, I'm going to do this. But I got deeper into the book because I was always a person that liked words. Right. And I wanted to know why. You know, this made a person happy. A woman, of course, anybody giving you money, it's going to make you happy. You can hate them. Yeah. As long as they're giving you paper, you don't care who they are. Right. But the thing of it is that these women had feelings. But I didn't realize that until after I actually met one of Iceberg Slim's former hoes about 25 years ago in Hawaii. I was in jail. And she captivated me. And what she was telling me, at that time I was 31 years old and I had a lot of time in the life. So she captivated me because I was sitting there at the feet of game royalty. Yes, there is game royalty. I love the game. If I wasn't old and beat up, I don't know what I'd be doing. Right. But I would be in the game. Okay. And maybe I would be doing it differently. But of course, we never get what we should have, the knowledge that we have, until after we've lived it. And it's too late to do it again, which is a blessing too, because I don't know if I could live that life again, if I could survive it again. Okay. This is just a one-shot deal. But it lasted for 30 years. And it all started out as trying to show my father that he could love me.
We're going to get into a lot of that, as a matter of fact. You know, you talk about family life. And, you know, the pitfalls and everything, the depression and all that. What type of man was your father?
Can I say jackass?
You can say what you want to say on my show.
Okay, my father was a tyrant. We had names for him: General Schwarzkopf, Bengali, you know, Napoleon, because he was short for one thing, and the three older kids.
So he had Napoleon complex.
Yes, he did, and we were taller than him.
Okay.
So he was a bully. He was an antagonist.
And see, I asked that because it's these types of things that make such an impression on kids. And the parents, the pivotal behavior of parents, what parents say and what they do can determine a lot about how a kid comes up, how they grow up. And I think that's my having read that book. I didn't read all of it. I read about over 300 pages.
Okay.
But my having read it, that seems to be what happened to you.
It was. It really was. You know, I lived in a do as I say, not as I do household. He was. I heard all the cliches. He was the head nigga in charge. He was. It was his way or the highway.
Right.
I was always promised that on my 18th birthday, as I walked out of the door with my belongings, that he would hire a band and have a ticker tape parade as I walked away from the house out into the world. He let it be known that he really didn't like having to be there.
Yeah.
But he was a man, so he was going to be there.
Well, see, here's the thing. Your father was a father. He was a dad during what I call an era of fathers. And I say that because I lived on Eagle Street, we're about a block and a half from the projects. Near Adam Street and Bond Baker. And there was all father. That's all I knew on both sides. This thing with no father, so that's new to me. I first started seeing that sometime in the middle 80s, but it's for the most part that's new to me. It was the fathers that I saw them all leave with their lunch buckets, go to work, their brown paper bags, whatever, come home around the same time. Okay, your father was in the thick of that. All right, but he manifested what I call disturbing, completely individualistic behavior. Okay, that's according to what I'm reading about him in your book. Okay, and if you don't think that can be a factor, then you're fooling yourself.
It was a factor. It really was. Okay, my father, we had the appearance of an intact family.
Sure.
It wasn't intact.
Okay.
You know, when you, in those times, the 50s and 60s, when my parents married, it was done under duress most of the time. My mother found herself pregnant by him. He was in the military. Good catch. Grandpa, get it done.
Right.
And that's how it was. And it was also about that. It was the era, of course, of civil rights and all of that. So a black man had to be a man. And the best way to appear to be a man is to be in control of your family. My father had a saying that there was only one king in his castle, and it was him. So I wasn't no queen, no drone bees, none of that. Just the king.
Just the king, right.
Everybody else was subjects. And he treated us that way. And then with his military training, and he went in the military, I think, when he was barely 17. And he was like 5'2". So the only thing he could do was wind up the hose on the fire truck. So I had to learn about the man as I wrote my book and as I grew up, and I studied men because I studied men. This is exactly what I did. And I had to realize that my father was short. Okay, if he didn't watch his weight, he could be fat. Okay, so my father did everything that he could to prove people wrong. He wanted to prove other people wrong, and that was his. That's what he wanted us to do.
And he rose up the ranks.
Yes, he did. He went through it all. He went through going in the military 7 years, coming home, working these stupid jobs at the wax factory, the straw factory, and the bookbinding company, because he refused to let his family be on welfare. Okay, I didn't grow up on welfare. I think the only time we had food stamps was during the blizzard of '77. But my father devised a way to get more than other people. So he was always thinking. He was a thinking man, and he really wanted the best for us. He really did. He did. But he really thought, and he told me this 6 years ago. He said that he humiliated us and said that we weren't never going to be anything. That we were ugly, stupid, and that kind of thing. He said because he wanted us to prove him wrong. Now, as an adult, as a 50-year-old woman, so I guess about 6 years ago, I was about 48 or 9, and when he said this to me, I just
when did he tell you? How old were you when he told you this?
I was about 49. 48, 49.
He had a lot of time to think that.
My father ain't never told me he loved me, okay?
Wow.
He can't do it. He just can't. And that was what the journey was about.
Yeah.
Was just searching to fulfill the void that I had in my soul.
Yeah.
From my father not being man enough to be a daddy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the time, I think because you said you went to South Park in Clinton, and there was an occasion where he made you eat an ashtray of cigarettes.
Oh yeah, I was in summer school at Clinton Junior High.
Unbelievable.
My two principals, Mr. Lafenauer and Mr. Robinson, standing on the side close to the emergency hospital, used to be there. And we were coming through the basketball course, me and a couple girls from the Perry that had to go to summer school over there. And I just flicked the cigarette away and blew the smoke out, and he saw me. So by the time I got home, the call had been made. My father was lying on the bed in his wife beater and his, I call them Superman drawers, them Fruit of the Loom things. And he was laying there, and it was a beautiful summer morning, and he's lying on the bed, and he had this newspaper. When I walked in the door, with a green bucket sitting on top in the gold ashtray that they put candy in on the holidays, was on the floor. The lady next door to us, Miss Brooks, she smoked Pall Mall cigarettes, and my mother smoked Pall Malls. He didn't want any filters. He got all their butts and put them in this ashtray. Gosh, it had to have been 100 cigarette butts. I don't know where they had. I must have been saving them or something. I don't know. But he literally made me sit down. He told me he got a call from the principals, and that since I wanted to smoke, he was going to, since I liked to smoke so much, he was going to see how much I liked it after that. Well, I still smoke to this day. I wish I didn't, but I do. Yeah. And he put those, I'm picking them up, you don't even try and put this in my mouth, And this man said I was taking too long, and he started choking me like Homer would be choking Bart on Simpsons, and trying to stuff these cigarette butts, smashing them. And my mother was sitting at the dining room table. She came to the door, and she begged him not to do this. The lady next door heard me screaming, and she stopped it. She put a stop to it.
Miss Brooks.
Yeah, and this was a white lady. She had like 9 black kids, and she put a stop to it. She was from the South. She's from the she put a stop to it, and she's still alive today, and she is a wonderful, dear woman. And she told my father, "I'm not going to let you do that," And but she didn't put my mother down for not stopping it. But that was just the nature of the beast. My mother was meek. She did as she was bred to be a wife. Yeah. And that's what they did, and she didn't question his actions, no matter how wrong they might have been or abusive,
the funny thing is, I contrast that, your family, to another family, that you said they all loved each other, they all supported each other, even if one of them wanted to be a pimp, and one did become a pimp, I think, Cadillac Boopie's family. And I says, okay, I can understand love and support, but not that far. But they actually openly did this.
Yes, they did.
That's very strange.
They did. It was funny because when I met his family, it surprised me. See, in our house, we didn't nobody talk to each other. There was no real sibling closeness in our family because my father pitted us against each other. Not my 2 younger sisters, my brother and my older sister. And me and my older sister like 11 months apart. My brother's probably 57 now. And my brother couldn't do nothing right. Poor boy. Couldn't do nothing right. He's pigeon-toed, bow-legged, and had rickets. Okay?
Right, okay.
Couldn't do nothing right. He should have been 6'4", but he's only 6'2", because he had curvature of the spine. So, my father, we were not the family my father had in mind for himself. In his head, it wasn't us. It wasn't us. He got the wrong babies at the hospital. Okay.
He could have did a lot worse.
Yeah,
He could have done a lot worse.
But I understand his reasoning sometimes.
Yeah,
I didn't then, though, because everything was handled with abuse, with violence. But of course, abuse wasn't a word that we were accustomed to hearing back in the 60s and 70s. Yeah. And neither was stressed out or any of those things. Yeah. Dysfunctional, none of those things. So here it is. I come from a family where we went to school. He was an okay provider and everything. We lived in the projects. We lived in the projects because he was cheap, not because he couldn't buy a house. Sure. My father, I love my father. College educated,
Well, you know, and I'm just trying to cut you off. The way you tell the stories in this book, what amazes me, I said she could remember all these details.
Mm-hmm.
You got a heck of a memory.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a memory. Okay, that's one thing that impresses me. Your first experience with a pimp, and you talked about a guy named Rome.
Yeah.
From the projects, and you said, you know, basically what I read.
Yeah.
Would you call him sadistic?
Yeah. I most certainly would.
Yeah.
He was what we called a gorilla.
Then what about the person who works for him? What about the woman who works for him? The whole that works for him?
Well,
is she a sadist also?
She would probably, if she see, a sadist is a person that likes to inflict pain and humiliation on people, and a masochist is a person that likes to be humiliated and have pain. They don't want to be killed though. See, this is supposed to be sexual.
All right.
But none of this was of a sexual aspect.
Right.
But everything in my house was handled with physical violence. So, you know, you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich after 6 o'clock, you about to get stripped. Okay.
Wow.
And let his foot get stuck in that jelly and see what happened. The whole house is coming down. I'm serious. This little bitty man. Wow. And so, with these pimps, with Rome in particular, Rome was a violent man from the beginning. It had anything to do with pimping. It just, he was, I think, the captain of the Mad Dogs or the Manhattan Lovers or the Matadors. It was with an M. Okay. And
well, the 3M Nation, they called them, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of gangs back there. But the Manhattan Lovers they were closer downtown. That's the Elephant Mall.
The Fruit Belt. Who was the Fruit Belt?
The Fruit Belt was, I think it was the Mad Dogs or maybe the Matadors.
Well, it was one of them, and he was supposed to be an officer, okay, the leader. I don't know what they called it.
Yeah.
My gang activity was short-lived. My father saw me with that jacket on. It was a done deal. Okay, and he was a feared gang member. He really was. You know, he was. I don't think as to the extent that Sly was.
Right.
But
that slide brought a whole new thing to the game.
You know.
And you talked about how, you know, some guys, you know, they later on they became pimps and gangbangers. You know, that's okay. My thing about pimps, okay, and we're going to wrap this up in a minute, okay. But make sure you all buy this book, Drizzlin' Superhole. What's your website?
It's www.drizzlin, DRIZZLIN. Rain is spelled REIGN because Jesus reigns. .com.
And you don't you talk about Jesus reigns. You know, the Bible, the history of the Bible, God supported the hoes.
Yes.
He protected them.
He loved us.
There are no pimps mentioned in the Bible.
No, it wasn't no pimps.
So I think somewhere along the line, pimps stem from
slavery.
Slavery, yes. Single moms, mostly effeminate men, because they want to hurt women like other women like to hurt women. So here's a man hurting a woman, or whatever, beating her, torturing her, or whatever. You got to be like that in order to take it that.
Because the pimp's job was to be.
And wear your fur coat.
Father.
I'm sorry.
This is something that people need to know.
Yeah.
Pimp's job. Pimp was husband, father, boyfriend, lover, everything that a woman needed. Yeah. That's why a lot of us lived in obscurity. We didn't live around our families. Yeah. I didn't feel comfortable. You know, I mean, at first when I was young, you know, I'm a hoe, I'm popping, I'm getting money, you know, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, my man's riding, we doing it, you know. And I wanted people to see me because I was becoming successful in the game. Although I didn't have anything, I didn't, you know, all I'm looking at is I'm dressing the way I want to. I got me a little fur coat, you know, little things like that. Right. Got me some diamonds on, you know. And it was success coming out of the projects, being under, what is that, oppression. And because I lived a very oppressed childhood. And so coming out of that, and being, you know, practically court-martialed all the time, you come out there and you find this guy, he's got his fronts in order. So you got to have your fronts in order. Your bling has got to be in order.
Sure.
And that is the draw. And then he has to be able to talk.
Right.
And he has to be able to make this woman believe that he can give her the world. And when he's finished, he's going to make her, she's going to be convinced that he can. Okay. And that's their job. It is to handle everything. And the pimp's role again was to be everything that the woman needed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and a father loves his child. A man loves his woman. A father disciplines a child when they don't do right. Pimps do too. You know.
But
so
but woman's an adult. Okay.
maybe not starting out, because I came out at 16.
Okay.
So, and I had been doing it since I was 11. Okay.
Okay.
If you read the book,
Okay,
The Dirty Old Men in
yeah.
the Projects.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't something that I just woke up one day and said I'm gonna be a hoe. It wasn't that.
Okay.
It just took living through my father.
You just wanted your own. You wanted to make your own money.
It didn't have anything to do with money. I don't know how you missed it, but it didn't have anything to do with money. It had everything to do with searching for someone. The money just made me.
You were searching for love.
I was searching for love and approval from my father, and I could buy any man I wanted, and I bought a whole bunch of them. They're all in this book.
Yeah.
From coast to coast,
right.
You know. So this wasn't just.
Well, you've been in all the jails and all the tracks that you described.
I didn't really go. Once I left Buffalo,
yeah,
I went to jail. If I went, it was for something big.
Okay.
But if after Buffalo, I was in 1978. They named me, or 79. They called me Buffalo's most notorious prostitute. And I should have brought those articles with me.
Yeah.
I have them at home. I had been arrested. Between 1976 and 1981 or 120 times.
Wow.
Okay, with 152 charges and probably 5 convictions. Okay, so what that should tell people, okay, most people don't see it that way, but they say, oh my gosh, she was always in trouble.
Yeah.
No, the police were told to do that to me.
Right.
Not because of me, because of the man I was with.
I got you.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that part.
So, yeah. So, and then they also used me
to
train the newcoming vice officers.
Okay. Really?
And I got that straight from the horse. I have 2 very good friends who were members of the vice squad back then.
Yeah.
And we've spoken within the last year. And one of them told me this 15 years ago. They even got to the point where they were told not to arrest me anymore, but to harass me. Okay. So you're taking up my time. This will stop me from getting money. Well, it really didn't, but it just made it hard.
Right.
You know, and he told me they started giving me seatbelt tickets. Okay. Seatbelt tickets.
So what they wanted to do was cost you money.
Right.
They do that to activists a lot.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, but I never heard of it done to.
Yes, and that's why they. That's why the police. That's what they do. If you read about the part I was talking about in Chicago, they just they do it to try to make you either quit. They don't care if you quit, but as long as you get up out of here.
Yeah.
And I was literally asked to leave Erie County.
Right.
By a judge. I was ordered to leave.
Amazing.
So I took my show on the road. And it got worse.
I got you. We now come to the subject of what you call a deranged pimp named Ezel, I guess from Rochester.
No, he's from Buffalo.
From Buffalo? I don't know where I got it.
Because he was trying to take me
to Rochester. Right. And I mentioned that because he seems to step amongst what looks to me like a whole string of deranged pimps. You actually put the word deranged on him.
He was crazy and deranged. He was cuckoo. Wow. I saw this man do a roundhouse kick. He was about 6'3", 6'2", maybe, about 6'2".
Yeah.
I saw him do a roundhouse kick. His woman had made no money, and it was in the afternoon in the summertime, and we were on Chippewa Street, and she had, poor little thing, didn't ever make none, but he was checking her money. And I guess he didn't appreciate what she gave him. He did a roundhouse kick and kicked her in the top of her head. Okay.
So he knew martial arts?
I don't know, but he knew how to do that. And and all of us, there was a lot of girls standing out there, and we looking at this, and that right there lets you know.
Yeah.
Oh, that ain't the one.
Right.
I don't care how gorgeous he is. He ain't the one. And my girlfriend, Ebony, God rest her, Ebony was with him. Just before that.
How old was this guy, you think, at that time?
At that time, about 37, 36,
What
37.
year was that?
77, 78.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And He was okay with my girl Ebony when he had my friend Ebony. He was all right with her, but she was a different kind of woman. See, she made money. See, if you make money, the best way to keep a pimp's foot under your ass is to make money.
Yeah,
that stops everything. But it comes to a time when you got somebody that's serious about the game, and they don't want all this. Nobody wants unrest in the camp. You know, you can't. The camp can't function properly when somebody's acting a fool, and it's usually for attention, or you have rivalry against stable sisters, you know, and that kind of thing.
Sure.
And a pimp, the last thing he wants is somebody that's gonna just be an earth disturber and just disturbing the peace all the time.
Yeah.
So they'll fire a money getter.
Yeah.
Because I've been fired.
Wow.
Fire you to not have the problems. That's why when you hear pimps say something, they say, man, that bitch is a headache. Okay, well, me, I think somewhere along the line, I developed a disdain for men, but I didn't know it. I didn't realize it until I wrote my book, that I was really bitter. You know, because I felt I should have been treated better. I didn't leave my father's house to go to my father's house, but that's exactly what I did. You see?
Yeah, but see now, here's this thing with your father. You said you talked about the times that you went back to try to prove to him that you know that you were good at something.
Yes.
You know, trying to make amends, baby, whatever.
Yeah.
Was there ever a time that really it looked like you were gonna reach to that point?
No, but there was a time before I got to that. I didn't even know I was looking for that. Going to do that yet. Okay. I was just 19, and I was with a much older pimp, and I call him Carl in the book. And he was 33. I was 19. That's a lot of distance.
Sure.
So he was my daddy. Okay. It was different with him though, but it was a whole bunch of stuff he didn't allow. He told me that any woman that stayed out after 2 o'clock in the morning was a tramp. I was like, damn. Little did I know I would become super tramp. Okay, because I was out at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning when he saw the money I was making. Plus he had 2 retired women and 5 children that needed to be taken care of, and he only had me and another little girl named Peaches.
All right.
And Peaches was $300-400 a night. Me, I ain't no telling what I might come in with, because now I had become a thief, a pickpocket. So I did that and that. I had 2 jobs.
So you were really good at pickpocketing.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't bring any money with me.
I'm too old for that crap. Look at my hand. He taught me a lot of stuff. He taught me how to read wine lists. He taught me how to order at exclusive restaurants. I think we had lunch in a restaurant in New York, in Central Park somewhere, in that area, and really classy place. And he showed me how to be a lady. See, and that's what's missing in the young women today. None of them are ladies. You know, they go from Tyler to Tramp.
I think
seconds.
Reality TV is teaching young ladies today.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of shows aimed towards you know, Bad Girls Club, the Desperate Wives of New Jersey, Hoboken, whatever.
Yeah, Atlanta, and the housewives.
Yeah, a lot of women popping their fingers in front of another woman's face.
Yeah, see, you can't do that to me.
You know, and that is perfectly made.
But see, that was me when I was, especially, see, there's a position in a pimp's family.
Yeah.
For the money getter, for the one that makes the most money, and the one it's usually the one that makes the most money or has been there the longest, and it's usually that. And after Carl, I had to be the bottom bitch. That's the bottom line.
Okay.
I had to be her. So, and if it meant moving somebody else out the way, well, so be it. But I like to knock them out the box. See, then I didn't want to make them want to run off. I just let them know. Yeah. It ain't you no more. You know. Okay. Move over. Second in command now.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, I'm the queen. And that I strove for that. I wanted to be. It's like being CEO of a company. Yeah. It really is, or something.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, I think if a lot of pimps got together, just like with gangbangers, a lot of those guys today are making money. If they could get together, because that's how these corporations formed anyway. You just have white guys doing it back then. Okay? So back then when you had bad tough liquor in the 1920s. Today it's actual companies.
But see,
okay, it's Hennessy, all that. What were they doing back in the turn of the century?
They were running stills, had speakeasies.
Right.
It's the same thing through the generations.
Yeah.
But it changes with the times. But unfortunately, the pimp game and prostitution game that I knew is no longer. It's no more.
Yeah.
It's no more. You know. And so they're doing the internet thing, and everybody's a hoe. And you know, back when I was in the game, you knew who was a hoe and who wasn't a hoe.
Right.
Nowadays, you don't know who's a hoe because everybody's a hoe.
Right.
But that's just because they somehow confused about having sex with people. A lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay, they buy you a purse. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It is the same thing.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, and I'm glad you said that, I watch Maury sometimes.
But they think they're not hoes. They just think a man's supposed to do this for them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're not hoes, but they can sleep with 30 guys a month.
You look at Maury, just like you said, Maury. How do you not know who you're... Unless you was with a total stranger.
Yeah.
And the condom broke. And that's what happened in my case.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
So...
They had one woman, a couple of times they had women on there, she brought like 5 or 6 guys, several shows. Been on there at least 8 or 9 times. Trying to find
Marisol.
Yeah.
The Puerto Rican girl.
I've seen the ones I've seen were black. A couple of them were black.
Oh, you got a couple of them too.
They could not figure out who the father was, and they were like, "Okay, next week, can I bring so and so? Can I bring Pookie next week?"
See, that's why I talked about that here too, because it's a difference. That's tramping it up. That ain't hoeing. Them is tramps. It's a difference.
Yeah.
And I make that clear. I used to do I did a young woman's workshop, a teen empowerment workshop, and. It was because I got tired of hearing these young women refer to themselves as hoes and bees and all that stuff. And you're none. Hoes get money purse first.
Yeah.
You get a bag of weed, a blunt, and something from McDonald's.
Yeah.
And then you sleep with this man and give him your heart and soul. You don't protect yourself. You don't protect him. Then you come up and bring this baby here that had nothing to do with that.
Right.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
So that's tramping it up to me.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. And I got tired of hearing them little girls, and so I just decided to hold this workshop, and I did it for about 6 weeks until I realized they was only coming because I had food, okay? And but them kids need a lot of attention, and I couldn't give them everything, but I could help them. And that's why I was looking for the at-risk young women who are at risk to not being hoes, but to having these babies, getting in these relationships with these boys that they think is going to last forever. And it isn't. Yeah. It's very rare that you meet Miss Right or Mr. Right at 15. That's rare. It happens, but it's rare.
Yeah.
They don't realize that everything has its course. Yeah. And you got to have respect for yourself first. You got to have respect for other people. Sure. That's what love is born out of. Love is born out of respect. It's not, I ain't got to love you just because I have sex with you, you know, or I give you money. Half of them men, I ain't even like them, but they serve their purpose. And see, and that I think is the difference. I'm not gonna go in the bar and walk out with a man, okay? Yeah. Unless the only way I would have done that back in the day, first of all, he had to be a white man, okay? Because I felt like, okay, back then. Women didn't do everything that they do today. So you had husbands or boyfriends that wanted to get oral sex. So they knew their girlfriend or their wife wasn't going to do it. And it certainly wasn't going to do anything else. He wasn't even doing oral sex on women as much. I mean, I heard about 12-year-old kids doing that. Right. You know? And so that was the purpose for prostitutes, because we were supplying the need.
Well, that's the end thing. That's the end thing today with kids.
Yeah, but now,
you know,
being a hoe is a choice.
Yeah, I got you.
It's a choice. So it's different.
Yeah. And what would you say to young people today, if you could say one sentence to get them off, to make them not want to do that? What would it be?
Well, I said it in my book.
Maybe a couple of sentences.
It's not one word.
Okay.
Stop, don't do nothing. That means go.
Right.
You know.
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah.
Well, I would let them know that once I learn to value myself and to know that my soul is really all I have.
Right.
My heart is all I have. My virtue is priceless.
What's in kids today? They learn false esteem, especially from rap music.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know the difference between self-esteem and false esteem, especially young black kids. Okay, and black boys don't know how to take a gangster rap record and just view it as fantasy. They want to live that lifestyle. Okay, the rapper is usually living in the suburbs by now.
He was talking about what he used to do, and they don't understand
even if he did it. Even if he did it,
because some of them was really armchair gangsters.
Right, that's all.
You know?
That's it. So that's the thing, is what message would you tell them?
That your virtue is all you have.
Yeah.
And it truly is. And I'm 54 years old now. I would love to have someone in my life, but I think my standards are too difficult for some people to meet. I don't fight. So you can't hit me because I'll probably end up in jail. Okay? I love doing things for a man, but I need him to do things for me too. I don't need a man to support me. I can take care of myself. What I need from a man is intimacy. And intimacy is not sex. See, most people don't know that.
All right.
Intimacy at my place in my life, and I've been here for a long time. The best kind of man for a woman like me is a man that can hold his own financially, first and foremost, because I ain't got no money. Okay? And secondly, he's got to be interested in what I'm about as a woman. Because they want me, y'all want us to be interested in you.
Yeah.
We want the same thing. Well, I want the same thing. I'm only speaking for Marceline. I'm speaking for me. I want a man surprise me on a Tuesday. You know, it ain't got to be nothing big. I used to date a guy that he would go to the corner store and get a bottle of some crap they sell in there, wine, a little $6 bottle of wine. He would make these trays with cold cuts and meatballs and all this Italian stuff. He's part Italian. And he would just do beautiful things. He'd get some rose petals, go to the store and get the rose petals and just sprinkle them all over. He'll have dinner for me made, and we would watch The Sopranos. And he made it feel like an event. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if you can do that for me, and this boy ain't had no money. Okay.
I got you.
Right. And he in chapter 13 too. I call him Gino.
All right. Okay.
And he was romantic. He was not any kind of man I had ever been with. He's portly, and I always liked them, Mr. Atlas. Maybe not so much, but I've had and just about every kind of man there is as far as physical attributes are concerned. But this man was a portly. He's a portly man, but he was impeccably dressed all the time. Wonderful chef. Looked just like the man on Dunkin' Donuts commercial.
Okay. All right.
With the mustache.
I got you.
But he was fabulous.
Yeah.
And he was entertaining. He was understanding. And he can hold a conversation. That's what I like. That we can talk about things instead of everything. Anything. Me and him, we talked about everything from apples to Islam.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. Intimacy. It doesn't always have to be sex. Just hold your woman. Bring her a single orange rose. They have orange roses. I like those. They're reddish orange. And bring her a single rose and a nice bottle of wine. And just, put some music on. Or just watch a movie. And just explore each other emotionally. And intimately. I bet you sleep better than after you romped around that bed all night trying
I got
but
you.
Well,
I don't know how we got from advice to you to intimacy, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Please get this book, Drizzling Super Hole.
That's right.
Thank you for coming on to the show this week.
Thank you. I am very glad that I came.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of very good experiences as far as advice is concerned. Okay, your life is certainly not a fairy tale.
No.
Okay, but people can learn from it. And if there's a situation where you can learn from other people's mistakes,
This is it.
This is it. You know,
this is it. Just
that's
don't let it take 30 years. Hope and pray that it doesn't.
Right.
But time is what changes things.
Yeah.
But I need to say something really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Giselle tried to kidnap me.
Mm-hmm.
And I tricked him and got away from him. But he actually did kidnap me. Yes.
Since
no,
you wrote what
you were talking
yeah,
about.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
He did kidnap me. That's why.
I do remember. Yeah.
Yeah, and but I got away from him. I outsmarted him. Cost me a wig, but I outsmarted him.
Well, this book is very adventuresome. A lot of things have happened to you. Yeah. I mean, a lot. You know, so it's a very interesting read.
It is a good read, but it also just lets you know that you have to have Christ in your life. You really do. Yeah. You have to get to know Him, establish a relationship with Him, and you do have to trust Him because He brought me out of it. Yeah. He told me to write this book, and I wrote this book, and I promise you, none of this was scripted. It was just, I had actually wrote a draft and threw it in the garbage because it's my life. I lived it, so I know what happened. Mm-hmm. But it's not a get back book. It's a book to let people know. Mm-hmm. If I can't teach you what to do, I can sure teach you what not to do.
Right.
You know?
I got you.
And I have 3 beautiful daughters and 4 beautiful grandchildren. And none of my daughters have chosen that route. But my oldest daughter got game. Mm-hmm. She's got real good game. Okay. My second daughter, she's coming up. She's a little slower. You know, and but when I say game, I'm not saying game to the street game, but my daughter learned from having me for a mother. She learned a whole lot of what not to do.
I got you. Okay, well, Marceline Jackson, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I thank you for coming on. Thank you all for watching Policy and Prejudice. My name is Chris Stevenson, and you have a safe week.
This was